Hi, dear ones. Lisa A. Romano here, and I've been asked to talk about love addiction, codependency, and to give my opinions on what I feel about codependency and love addiction. I believe that they are one and the same. I believe that codependents very often exhibit lots of symptoms that same symptoms that love addicts exhibit. So, a love addict is someone who is in love with the idea of being loved by someone else. A love addict is someone who is in love with the idea or has a fantasy or is attached to a fantasy that is that is rooted in the idea or the concept of being loved by someone else. There's there are no facts. There's no proof. There's no evidence that they're actually being loved and cared for by someone else. It's a figment of their imagination. Love addicts in my coaching practice and even in my own life experience, because I've been a love addict. I've been someone who's been in love with the idea of being swept off my feet. I've been in love with the idea of finding someone who gets me. I've been in love with the idea of finding someone that I could tell all my dreams to. Um, and I have, also discovered that in my coaching practice, one to one, when my clients and I begin delving into their histories, it's really interesting to discover how many of us, male and females, used to fantasize as children about finding that one person that will love us endlessly and completely and unconditionally. And so I don't think that as adults we ever lose that fantasy type thinking or those fantasies attached with finding someone to love us. And unfortunately, we settle for what shows up. And if we're codependents and love addicts, what we do is we attract narcissistic others, which really puts us behind the eight ball because we're needy and we're seeking this fantasy type relationship. And very oftentimes, narcissists come into our lives and they know exactly what to say when we first meet them. So if you're a man, you'll find a woman who knows exactly what to say. She is highly sexual. She is highly attentive. She's sending you these texts all day long. She's when she sees you, she's bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and she can't wait to jump you bones, and you think you've hit the jackpot as a man. If you're a female, you are getting flowers sent to your office, you're getting letters in the mail, you're getting bouquets of flowers, laid on your bed. You're getting all sorts of compliments about how beautiful you are, and hey, does your boyfriend know how beautiful you are? Does your husband know how wonderful you are? Those types of comments, if you're a married love addict, unhappily married. And this is the thing, codependents and love addicts are very oftentimes unhappily married because they're they have unrealistic expectations of their loved ones, of their lovers. Um, Unfortunately, love addicts and codependents are oftentimes insatiable. The love that they're looking for is a maternal love, is a love that they were supposed to receive as a child. Our mothers were supposed to, and fathers were supposed to shelter us, make us feel safe, and teach us that we were enough. You see, if you learn that you're enough by the time you're 3 or 4, then I'm good, I'm enough. Then when you're going out into life, you're not going out into life, hemorrhaging, looking for a mate. You're going out. You're selective now. If you're hemorrhaging, you ain't selective. You're settling for what shows up. If you're hemorrhaging, you're just looking for someone to stop the bleeding. So, I hope you get what I'm saying. If you're a whole person and you know that you're loved and you know that you're worthy, then when you start dating, you're interviewing these people. That's what I eventually learned to do. Thank the Lord. I eventually learned, like, hey, you have to be good enough for me. Like, I know who I am. I know what I'm going to bring to the table. Like, I need to know if you're going to bring the same to the table. So when I finally healed and realized that what I was looking for was some type of a maternal love, was an unconditional love that I was supposed to receive by the time I was 3 or 4, that I never got. And then what happened was I attracted people into my life. My first boyfriend always compared me to other girls. My hair wasn't long enough. My nails weren't long enough. Um, my legs weren't thin enough. I wasn't tall enough. I just wasn't enough. And that never stopped. I ended up attracting men into my life who found different ways of letting me know that I simply wasn't enough. And looking back, now I understand why. Because that I didn't feel enough. So all those relationships were projections of what I felt about myself. Why? Okay, why did I feel that about myself? Because that's what I learned to believe about myself from my parents. I never felt enough. My dad was a workaholic. I never felt enough for his validation or his time. My mom is an unrecovered adult child of an alcoholic. My dad's a child of an alcoholic. His mom committed suicide, so he has trouble with emotions. He's very stiff. He's an ex-marine, so feelings were like that's for sissies. He's macho. So this there was a big void in me. So my mom's an unrecovered adult child of an alcoholic. I'm her oldest, and I'm sorry, but she was very critical and she was mean. And I never felt like I bonded with her. And she would tell people, Lisa and I have a personality conflict. How do you have a personality conflict with a 7-year-old? What? What? Who says that? But when you are a 27-year-old mom and you're having difficulty bonding with your 7-year-old child, and you're the adult child of an alcoholic who's never been loved, then you know that there's something wrong, but you aren't aware enough to understand what that is to you. It's you have a problem with you. You're not bonded with self because you never bonded to your alcoholic mom. That's your mom's fault, obviously, but so my mom did not know, because she lives in denial, that the issue really wasn't between she and I. It was an issue that she was having with self. She wasn't bonded with self, so she couldn't bond to her child. So her mom didn't bond with her, so she didn't feel like she was enough. And her life got real rocky because she married another adult child of an alcoholic, and my dad gambled and whatever and was a workaholic. So she was a love addict and a codependent. So she thought being married, she was going to be fulfilled and the heavens were going to open, and she was going to clean and cook and take care of the house, and my dad was going to acknowledge her and pat her on the back. Good job, Pat. Good job. And that never came. And so she's frustrated and she has 3 kids. So here she is, an unfulfilled love addict, unfulfilled codependent, and she's ornery. And that's what happens when you're a codependent love addict and you're giving and you're giving and you're giving. And, the program is, well, I'm going to take care of you and now you owe me. I'm going to take care of you and now you're going to pat me on the back. I'm going to take care of you because I'm seeking your validation. And so that's all below the veil, dear ones. That's all in this subconscious realm. We are people pleasers, those of us who are codependents and love addicts, and then we end up resentful because we're attracting people who do not see us, and we just keep giving and giving and giving and giving. And we're not getting anything back because we've attracted other adult children of alcoholics who are in denial. We've attracted people who are aloof and they don't know what's going on. Like, just feed them and they're okay. You can change your hair, they don't notice. Or you've married someone who's passive aggressive, or you've married someone who's love avoidant. And that's an interesting thing about when we are love addicts and codependents, we attract love avoidance, but when we first meet them, they're all over us. Like they can't get enough of us. And then the minute they have us, they want nothing to do with us. What is that? What is that? We got to stop this stuff. And the only way to stop this stuff is to love ourselves. Really, really love ourselves and to stop this madness. So in my opinion, I think love addicts are codependents and codependents are love addicts. We're in love with the idea of being loved. We're in love with the idea of having a relationship work, and we hang on to relationships that don't work. We attract people who are not good to us, and we stay in those relationships. The relationships become more important than how we feel about self. We are so fixated on making the relationship work, even when it's not working. We're trying so hard to be good enough and figure out what our partner needs. Trying to figure out what are we doing wrong? Why is our partner so angry? Why can't we make them happy? And we never stop and say, wait a minute, am I happy? Does he care how I feel? Does she care what I think? Does she care what I need? I'm always wondering about what she needs. I'm always wondering about what he needs. And he's never happy. And I'm always saying, I'm sorry. What's up with that? So if you find yourself, dear one, in love with the idea of being in love, be careful about that. Be in love with yourself. Be in love with happiness first. Be in love with peace first. If you are in a troubling relationship, then there's something and you keep trying to fix it, and your partner isn't interested in fixing it, then that's like trying to resuscitate a dead dog that's been dead a week. You can't do it. You can't do it. You can't save a relationship by yourself. And if you think that by doing for other people, you're finally going to get that pat on the back, it's not going to happen. We have to get to a place. Now codependents and love addicts, in my opinion, we are natural empaths and we're natural givers. It's not within my nature not to give. It's not. I have to be able to give in a relationship. But this is what's changed. I'm remarried to a wonderful person, and I'm married to someone who is very much like me. He is a giver as well. And so I could not be in a relationship with someone who didn't naturally give back, because I learned the hard way. I was giving and giving and giving, and nothing was coming back. And then when I figured it out, oh, I've attracted a covert narcissist who's passive aggressive, who really enjoys being taken care of, and who never thinks about the way I feel. My ex-husband actually said that out loud. I never think about the way you feel. And I actually said, you said that out loud. You just said you never think about the way your wife feels. Do you know how effed up that is? We are supposed to care about how each other feel. We're supposed to be on the same page. Couples are supposed to share the same reality. And it's supposed to be a conducive, happy, loving, expanding reality. So often, so many of us, we feel like we are on one planet and our spouse is on the other planet. And for those of us who are codependent and love addicts, we're unhappy with that, but the narcissist couldn't give a damn. They're just happy. They're happy because they're getting their narcissistic ego supply met because we're confused and we're chasing after their ass. That's why it's a dysfunctional balance that works. And when we start getting in control of ourselves and we start acting more appropriately, that's when that crazy ass relationship stops working. And that's when the hell breaks loose. That's when the fireworks erupt. When you stop taking care of a narcissist, when you stop trying to fix something that the other person isn't interested in fixing, and you just say, okay, let it be. This relationship's not working and you're not willing to work on it. And so, I understand that in order for a relationship to work, we need two people. We need, if this is the relationship, then, and in order for this relationship, which my hands symbolize the relationship, I need the right hand to work with the left hand. So it doesn't work if the relationship, if the two hands aren't working together, it's not going to work. So when you stop giving to a relationship, that in other words, if you say, okay, I'm going to give as much as you're going to give, and we'll see what happens, and if you're willing to work, then I'm willing to work. But if you're not willing to work, then I'm not willing to work. And then this relationship's going to fall apart, and it's going to get ugly. But I know the storm will pass. That's the thing, dear one. The storm passes, but you have to be willing to go through the storm to get to the other side. When you set boundaries when you're a codependent and a love addict, in the beginning, when you start to set boundaries, it's all internal. So it's up to us to not throw ourselves into a relationship that's not working. If you're a narcissist or your partner says, I'll be home at 5, and they walk in the door at 9, and you're used to having dinner on the stove for them, let's say, and so they walk in at 9, they walk in at 10, they know the dinner's on the stove. no matter what time they told you they're going to come home for dinner, you have their dinner ready. When you wake up and you say, listen, it's a new day. So we've agreed that you'll come home for dinner at 5. Yeah, I'll be home at 5. Well, you always say that, dear one. You always say you're going to be home at 5, but most often it's like 7, 8, 9, or 10, and I usually have your dinner waiting for you. But I just want you to know today's a new day. I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm not having you. If you're not there at 5, I'll wait 10 or 15 minutes, but then the dinner's going in the garbage. Like I'm not waiting for you. I'm going to eat alone, or the kids and I are going to eat. And then when your partner walks in and they see that the dinner's not on the stove, expect some chaos because your partner isn't getting their egotistical needs met by you feeding their need. So you say no more, they get ornery. Now you've got to be in a position mentally to say, okay, bring it on. Like, this is all par for the course. I know this is going to pass. So love addicts in general are people who are in love with the idea of being in love. So a love addict is someone who stalks the object of their desire. They will text the object of their desire. They are like puppies, that little tiny puppies that are begging for someone to take them home. And no matter what the object of their desire says, that puppy is right behind them. You could tell this puppy that they're ugly and that they're disgusting. You never want to see them again. But that puppy will be on that stoop or that porch the next morning looking for more abuse, just hanging on for dear life. So if you are a love addict, then what you need to do is understand that you are more in love with the idea of being in love than you are with the idea than you are in touch with reality. If you are in an abusive relationship and you are being treated poorly, dear one, you is in a relationship in which you is being treated poorly. You're not in a loving relationship. And the goal is a loving relationship. Not your fault, dear one. If you're tolerating this type of abuse, that tells me that you were not loved the way you should have been when you were a little one, when you were a little innocent one. All of our issues are in the subconscious mind, which represents the female aspect of us. And what we have to do is use our thinking mind, which in my opinion represents the male aspect of us. The subconscious is the creation, and the conscious mind is the manifestation. And if we can go into the subconscious mind and we can see what the patterns are, we can see why we are attracted to narcissistic people, or we can see why we stay in dysfunctional relationships, then we can choose to change it using the conscious mind. We can go into the subconscious mind and learn to pluck out these belief systems that no longer serve us. So for more information on how to heal this type of dynamic, I suggest you read a great book by Pia Mellody called Love Addiction. Pia Mellody is awesome when it comes to love addiction, and she has treatment centers all over the world. I believe Australia. She's on every continent. If I could be mistaken, don't quote me, but I know that she has facilities in California and Australia. So check out Pia Mellody's work. I suggest that highly. And for more information on the information that I have on love addiction and codependency, you can check out my website at www.healingselfesteem.com, and of course all my books. My books are all weaved with the ideas of codependency and love addiction, and how it gets created. The Road Back to Me, My Road Beyond the Codependent Divorce, Loving the Self-Affirmations, and Quantum Tools to Help You Heal Your Life Now. I'm having a bridge teleseminar coming up at the end of May. If you want to get in on that, please email me at lisaaamomano@gmail.com. Bye, everybody. Namaste.